tonight's council meeting. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of the nation under God, indivisible, and justice.
Father God, thank you so much for the beautiful city we live in. Thank you for the tremendous weather we've been enjoying. We ask for your continued hand, protection, and grace over our police, our fire, service department, our administration, and our schools. In your name we pray.
Amen.
Okay, Janelle, please call the roll.
Mr. Smolik.
Here.
Mr. Ziegler. Mr. Fenstermaker.
Here.
Mr. Hamer.
Here.
Mr. Schultz.
Here.
Ms. Grazia.
Here.
Ms. Simons.
Here.
Okay, moving on to department reports. Chief Hutton.
Thank you, Mr. President. No formal report tonight, just one update, mainly for Mr. Smolik, so he doesn't ask. Heard they started building the fire engine, the chassis, so that's a little bit of progress, but we're still looking at late 26, early 27. That's all I have, and I'm open for any questions.
Oh, did they figure out the fire on that Worrell one would cause? It was electrical, or did they figure that out?
Still looking at it. We turned it over to the insurance investigator.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Chief Hutton? Okay, moving on to Chief McAllister.
Thank you, Council President Fenstermaker. Just a couple of things tonight. We had some questions about the Facebook post that went out over the weekend regarding a vehicle that had a phone with a magnet placed on it, and they were followed to their residence. That did not happen in our city. Actually, one of our police officers' sister had that happen to her. She resides out in the Cleveland area. So it seemed like through the post, there might have been some confusion that it happened here. The officer felt enough about it that he wanted to let the residents of Kirtland know. That way they were aware of anything if something like that happened, so they wouldn't open the door or engage in something if that came to their resident. The other thing that we're working on now is that we have our first meeting with Wilby for our contract negotiations. I think everything went well with that. They gave us some projected numbers. I'm discussing those with the mayor currently, and we should have more to report in the near future here. Report, and I'm available for any questions.
Chief, just to clarify, the negotiating you're talking about is with dispatch?
That is correct for our dispatch.
Chief, do you think we'll have that at when we can return from summer break? At least prelim ideas?
Yeah, I believe so. We got some preliminary numbers. Once I discuss them with the mayor, I think we'll be able to present everything to council and move forward from there.
Okay, fair enough. One more question, Chief. It looks like our guardrail on the bridge already got struck. When did that take place?
We had a accident there. I don't recall the date. I was looking through everything, just getting back today. It did result in an OBI arrest.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any further questions for the chief?
Does the guardrail work then?
Guardrail did work. Peeled it back.
Quick, can I just, I don't know if it's service or police, who's in charge of repairing that guardrail?
So that's going to go to ODOT. I'm
ODOT.
going to pass along the police record to the ODOT engineer.
If you can give them my information, I'll need to know the total damage of that for restitution purposes for the court case.
I'll pass your information along.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Moving on to Mr. Finaro.
Good evening, everybody. As always, I'd like to thank the team for doing a great job in the last week. Some updates is baseball, the last game is today, and the crews are striping for soccer, football, and band camp. So pretty busy in the rec park. That completes my report.
No, Courtney. Yeah, based that early. Mr. Finaro, just a couple things. I did drive down Rockwood and Ledgewood based on some residents that have been ringing my phone. We need to really take a hard look and see if there's anything that we can do
So-
in that area.
The first thing I would suggest in that area would be to put drains along the edge of the pavement. I was hopeful that we would get that done this year, but with the stormwater issues we have,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to fall by the wayside this year. So next year, we should look at putting surface drains down the side of the road with
Okay.
paving to follow that. So nothing can be done with that pavement until we get some drainage done for the subbase.
What about the cul-de-sac area down there? I mean, that is just
Ledgewood in particular.
in Ledgewood, yours. I mean, that cul-de-sac,
So my question would be, the improvements I make on that cul-de-sac would not hold up through the winter for next year. So we'll fix something up now.
okay.
We'll address it somehow, somehow.
How about we just have an
It's gonna
offline
be-
service department meeting and just to kind of go through, see what, if there's anything that we can do to at least, I know, I don't want to throw money at it just to
So-
throw money at it.
So the issue with
Action.
that area, which Mr. Smoke will know, it's frosty. So anything we do there without fixing those drains,
Right.
it's gonna come right back.
I do understand, but it's getting to the state where we're going to have to look at it.
Did you need a pull out of the pothole there?
Huh?
Did you need a pull out of the pothole there down the bottom?
When my truck bounces as hard as it did, it was pretty bad. So, I mean, it just needs some attention, that's all. Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Fenaro tonight?
Joe, were you speaking of just standard like under drains along the edge of the pavement?
So my thought was to mill a foot off into the pavement, put the under drains on the edge of the pavement, instead of getting into those tree lawns and on the buried utilities. So I'm thinking about moving it into the pavement, edge of pavement.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of concrete gutter there, yeah.
And for paving, patching in general, what will the city be working on next couple months? Is there any paving or patching or repairing we're doing currently?
So thanks for bringing that up. On tonight's agenda, you have the material list for the Public Works Department. I would be grateful if that get passed tonight, please, so we can get going on our material.
Oh, and Mr. Fenaro,
Is that 25R47, Mr. Fenaro?
and
It's all three of them. So you have one for asphalt, you have one for where we could pick up stone, and then you have one from Arms for delivery of stone.
those are the only three that need to possibly be waived tonight. Are we letting the first three get second reading, correct, Mr. Lallo?
So the first reading, so 25044 is going to continue on. 25R45, we're going to waive the three readings and send it down to P&Z.
Okay, correct, yeah.
25046 is going to go to second and third reading if need be. But that could go in line with the short-term rentals.
Correct, thank you, Mr. Lallo. Mr. Fenaro, I know you brought it up maybe. I know you probably brought it up last meeting. Could any more work being done on the 306 bridge that they were working on the pavement there? What were they doing?
They did, so I just got the punch list from ODOT. There was some grading and seeding work to be done. Craft Tech has a sign to replace. There was something else from Craft Tech too. There was like 5 items outstanding.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I have two questions. Do you think the 306 bridge will be done before the Route 6 bridge? And then, do you know what's going on with the Lakeland lights? I keep getting harassed by John Lesnick about
So
that.
I hope you've seen the pink paint on the road.
Yeah, yeah.
You approved the loops in the budget. The contract is signed and signal service is scheduled to do that. So there'll be loops put in, the camera system will come down at Lakeland. And at the bottom of the hill at Eisenhower, there's also a westbound loop that has to get done there.
This month, maybe? This month?
I'm not sure. I'll have to check with signal.
Thank you.
We'll report back to King Lesnick because he doesn't like to wait.
Mr. Flower, did you say at the bottom of the hill there'll be loops reinstalled and it won't be camera radar?
There's one westbound loop that has to be done at the bottom of the hill.
Okay.
No cameras at the bottom of the hill, just up at Lakeland and 6 and 306.
Okay, Mr. Fenaro, thank you. Moving on to Mr. Slapnicker.
Thank you, Council President Fenstermaker. I have no report this evening, but I am open to questions.
Okay, any questions?
Yep, just one quick question. Mr. Slapnicker, several months ago, 4 to 6 months ago, you made a comment just stating something about looking into, I know that we're bound by Ohio Revised Code relative to our cash positions in the general fund, and the reason I'm asking this question is I saw the Lake County, Mike Zurin, the treasurer, talked about, as the county's chief investment officer, investing in highly rated paper and or corporate bonds. I don't know if we're allowed to do that now or if there's been a change in the law. So I'm just asking you if you knew anything of that or if there's been any changes.
No change in the law that I'm aware of. Mr. Lala could even speak on that, but nothing in that regard. We actually did take a meeting prior to my vacation a couple weeks ago with Fifth Third, looking at some of our investments and making our money work a little bit harder. So we are actively looking at some treasuries and some CDs and things like that. But again, to answer your question, I'm not aware of any change in the law as far as investments go.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Neither am I, for the record.
Okay. Moving on to Mr. Lalo.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I have no formal report for you this week. I know previously during the work session, we were discussing the pending legislation as it relates to short-term rentals. If you want, you can continue asking questions at this stage, or we can wait until we get to the legislation, unless you are all done with your questions. So I'll defer to you.
We can wait until the legislation. Okay. Anything else from Mr. Lalo this evening? Okay, moving on to Julia, the Senior Center.
Good evening. So the only thing I have to report for the Senior Center is that on August 21st, we are having our annual pig roast. Stewart's Barbecue will be our vendor for that. And on September 21st, we typically have a clam bake, but due to rising costs, we are now doing a steak cookout. And Stewart's Barbecue will also be doing that one. As far as for the city, the only thing I have to pass along is the last library concert is July 24th at 7. That is next Thursday. That will be Ricky and the Rockets. And again, Stewart's Barbecue food truck will be there. And I am open for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions this evening for Julia?
Any membership increases or, for the year, so to speak?
We did have a recent influx of, I don't know a number offhand, but we started line dancing this July. So the instructor brought with her different members from various senior centers that enjoy her class.
Pickleball court's pretty much booked up all day long, or I usually don't get back there enough?
It's depends on the weather. If it's been with the heat lately, nobody's really been outside on the pickleball courts.
Thank you.
Any update on the external bathrooms? Everything's going well there and as it should?
Yes. Yep, they're going good. People don't seem to realize that they're there, but
And that's the way we like it because they stay clean, or?
well, no, because then they come and try to, they interrupt our rentals. So just again, they are open.
Okay.
And they are cleaned weekly.
And do we have hours for those, or like what should we, because I can mention it to people.
We don't lock them.
Okay.
They're always open.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Julia this evening? Julia, thank you for the update. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on to the mayor.
Thanks, Council President Fenstermaker. I will try to be quick so we can get through some of the legislation. I think we have some folks here that they want to address the council. Just quickly in advance, thanking the Kirtland Kiwanis for spearheading the gazebo replacement project. And just to let everyone know, if you as council people are questioned about I think the 26th, 27th, it's coming down, something like that, right, Joe? 25th, 26th. And then it'll be put up within a week or two afterwards, depending on weather, I'm sure. But the important thing to point out is that's all privately raised dollars. Of course, the service department will assist with labor, but the city doesn't really have a portion of a contribution to that in terms of dollars and cents. So I just didn't want you guys getting, bombarded with calls. How come our pothole wasn't fixed, but you're putting up a gazebo? So thanks to Kiwanis and anyone else. I'm sure we'll get an exhaustive list of who those folks were that contributed to the project. Eddie Eckert and I continue to work on some of the economic development issues, or opportunities, I should say. Next Monday at the P&Z meeting, Monday, right, Janelle?
Yes.
There will be another meeting, or on the agenda will also be the Pumpkinville property again, related to some possible subdivision over there. So if you're inclined and you have time, come up, because that's always it's a very interesting project, and looking forward to see what their latest iteration is and how they work through the planning and zoning process. As far as Mr. Lallo covered the short-term rental legislation, we talked a little bit about it in our pre-meeting there. It would be preferable to get that passed tonight so we can get it over to P&Z and for their consideration, and then will it come back to council then after that, Matt? Did you say?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
So I could discuss the
Perfect.
procedural history.
So I'll stop short there, and if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Mayor, with respect to the gazebo, is it just the wooden structure and then they taking it down to?
Yeah, so the pad is staying, right, Joe? They're just leaving the cement.
Re-erecting?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, any other further questions for the mayor this evening? Okay. Moving on to standing committee reports. Any updates on standing committee reports this evening? Somebody in the back. I'm going to say. Okay, any follow-ups, any standing committee reports? Okay. Any correspondence since last week, Janelle?
No.
Okay, moving on to public comments on matters not on the agenda. If you're here to speak tonight on comments on matters not on the agenda, please step up, name and address.
State your name and address, please, too. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bob Wells. I live at 8255 North Locust. The reason why I came down today was just, I have a problem on my street with a couple reporting problems in our yards, about trailers, about just stuff sitting in the yard, which is normal stuff, normal everyday Kirtland stuff. I mean, we are a small town, we're not downtown Cleveland, and just about everybody on my street has a trailer, except for two, so it's not hard to figure out who called. And the other problem is, it's all, what was stated before was, it's all done by, you guys don't actively go out and look at the yards, you wait for people to call with problems, and then you react from that, which is great. But the problem is when you have somebody who is calling all the time to complain about the same stuff over and over again, that's a problem. And I'm on a first name basis with Lenny. So it's just out of hand. There has to be a way to stop at a certain level.
So just from council standpoint, we don't control any of that, right? That's planning and zoning. We have a zoning inspector.
Right.
You know, we can't control where the zoning inspector goes and doesn't go, right?
Well, he's not going anywhere. He doesn't have to because it's all
Call-based.
call-based.
Right.
The problem is you have to come up with a situation where you solve the call base. You can't have the same person. There can't be 5 people in this city that do nothing but complain, and have Lenny running around like a knucklehead trying to solve those issues.
Curious, sir, has anyone been cited, or is everybody in code? So
It's not so much citing. It gets down to where like the one guy has a certified letter now. So now the city has invested money in chasing down a guy who has wood sitting next to his garage. I mean, is that big of a problem? We all burn wood. I burn wood. My wood pile looks like crap. And it's going to look like crap until it gets close to winter, and then I will make sure it's right, because make it easier to get in. It's got to dry. And technically, we pile all our wood up, and then it's closer to winter, we stack it.
Are you the yard that's on the circle there, kind of like the curve then, or?
No.
Okay, because I know the area pretty good too. Okay.
Mr. Wells, so yeah, if you don't mind, Council President, I'll help out here. So yeah, so Lenny does the zoning enforcement is from, my direction.
I have no problem with it.
And so when planning and zoning, we have laws on our books, and you said it, we don't actively, Lenny's not driving around looking for issues. We are, we respond to resident complaints. And I get what you're saying about, repeated complaints by 4 or 5 people. That's the nature of the community we live in. Small community, you might have, a handful of people that make the most noise. We at least have to go out and look at it when we have those calls. And sometimes we have to cite. So we do our best to work with the homeowner. And I think you've probably gotten that. I think you said that from, your experience with Lenny. We always try to work with the homeowner first, but at some point we do have a responsibility. We have to enforce our code, especially when it's being brought to our attention.
I did read the code. I sat down and read, actually, the codes are,
it's
unbelievable. Anyway.
We've done some things over the years to clean some of it up. In that specific section of the code, I think could use a little work, and we've actually talked about that at planning and zoning meetings too. So
I just think
just to make sure it's tight, so everyone knows what they're looking at.
I just think that there is a problem, and it's an easy problem to solve. Eventually you got to tell the people who are complaining over and over again to just shut up. I technically am not supposed to know who it is. I'm not going to go down there and tell them to shut up, but somebody has to stop the craziness. It can't continue on and on and on. I've been in this city my whole life.
So I think when it gets to the point where there ends up being several calls in a row where there is truly nothing to cite, then I think that's when that conversation can be had. But I think we've yet to see a few calls in a row where there is absolutely nothing to at least have a conversation about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a balance. I get what you're saying. We're in a small community. I mean, Kirtland's been a certain way for a long time, and we try not to be zealots, and that's why we don't have somebody out there roaming the neighborhoods. But at the same time, we do have to respect every resident as they, voice concerns, complaints.
And some properties are not built equally to other people's properties. The guy's having a problem right now. His whole house is literally, you can see around his whole property. So he really has no place to hide.
That is the biggest problem with that neighborhood. It's flat.
Yeah, it's open.
And there's zero privacy.
And Dale's the one that's getting the problem. And he's the nicest guy that you'll ever meet. He would do anything for anybody. And yeah, he does have things sitting on the side of his garage, but it's all he needs, stuff. We all need stuff. I'm a hillbilly. I got stuff all over my face. I got stuff. I got tires sitting there because they're good for my trailer, so I have to move those back around. I have to do all this stuff to appease one person. No one has ever said anything about my trailer, ever. And now there's a problem. So how does it happen after 17 years of being at my property, and there's been a trailer at my property for 17 years? And the same with the guy across the street from me, and the same with the guy next to me. But now there's a problem. And that's the problem.
Yeah, and it'll happen in another neighborhood. It'll happen with another home somewhere else on another road where somebody sees something that wasn't, it wasn't either noticed before, or somebody new moves to town, or they've been there a few years and they start noticing it. Sometimes we have, and this is not the situation in Locust, I don't think, but sometimes we have, you'll never hear a complaint out of anyone in a certain neighborhood, but then there's a neighborly dispute, and all of a sudden we're out there all the time looking at zoning issues. So
our street is pretty easy to get along with. Everybody on the street. We all walk at night. We're all out and about. I just don't see any problems. And then, we do have one problem. Continue. And then, I'm not going around the city I got plenty of time on my hand to drive around and find violations and find out. It's not in my nature. I really don't care. I just want to live my life, have my stuff, and I don't think my yard looks bad. I really don't. I enjoy cutting grass. Got 2 cup holders on the lawnmower. Get out there and get it done.
I hear you guys got a pretty good block party there last year. I'd like to
It was a great,
I'd like to try to get invited to that one, so.
we have a block party that the whole street comes to except for a couple people, and they were invited. But I mean, that's the kind of street we have. It's a very, very good street. I wanted to live there since I was like 5 years old. So, I mean.
Where'd you grow up, if you don't mind me asking what street you grew up on?
No, I mean, Locust was my aunt. My aunt and uncle lived on Locust. I used to come out when I was a kid and run that circle on a dirt bike, which I probably shouldn't say because that was probably against some kind of rule, but I got 10,000 miles on that street. And that's
What's the statute of limitations on that one, Mr. Lallo?
He's good. He's good.
Yeah. But I you know, and it's always been someplace I wanted to be. My neighbors are awesome. I mean, we do a lot of things together. The kids are not afraid to come over and just, they treat me like a regular person. It's a lot of weird stuff that, you know, we do a lot of weird stuff. We build fires. You know, we all get together, but, you know, my aunt and uncle live on the same street, so that's a family thing, but I don't understand why the problem exists now and it didn't exist any other time. And then the people that are complaining, they had trailers back in the day. They had campers sitting in front of their house back in the day. That wasn't a problem. You know, now there's a problem. So I guess I want to say that if I have to go to zoning, I'll go to zoning. Zoning really can't help me. I guess I just want to.
No, I mean, you're at the right place. I mean, again, from my office, this gets enforced. So, you know, we're the ones responding and driving and making the decisions based
Lenny,
on
I'm on a
the
birthday
report.
basis with Lenny. I call him. He knows that if there's a problem, he can just call me anytime. Because I don't go to my mailbox. I go to my mailbox maybe, if I'm lucky, twice a month, if I'm in town. So if there's a problem, I need to know about it. I don't want to fight with anybody. I don't want to cause problems. My trailer that sits in my yard gets used by multiple people. Everybody uses it. I mean, I have a dump trailer. Everybody wants it one time or another. You know, it's here, it's there, it's gone, it's come. I have another trailer, but I just don't think that the situation's being handled correctly. I think at some point you have to just stop chasing people. If it's the same person making you do that over and over again, then it becomes ridiculous and redundant.
Understood. And we'll continue to work as a group to try to find some sort of common ground over there.
I agree with you, Bob. I drove through and it doesn't look bad at all.
The whole street, except for Jim's house, but I mean, and it is what it is. But I mean, most people on the street do a pretty decent job of keeping their yard up. I mean, we're not Beverly Hills or anything, but you know, we're doing our thing. Yeah. Yeah, he can't hide anything. And Dale, if you ever needed any help, Dale would be the first dude that comes and helps you. And now he's, you know, and he won't come here tonight because he don't have time. He's got 2 kids. He's got a wife. His dad's not doing real great. He's running like a knucklehead, and now he's got Kirtland chasing him to do, I think it was a wood stack, which is beyond me. So, huh? All right, guys, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments tonight on items not on the agenda?
Hello, Matt Ridgway, 8510 Broadhurst Trail. I'm not going to bore you with, many of you already know my issues with water. So I'll just get right to it, really. Is there anything being done with it? As I've talked, this has been a 20-year process to give you, if you don't know, it's a quick background story of it. When I bought the house 20 years ago, I remember Del Basso's invited me out for dinner. I was in 1999, maybe. I was coaching football, and I drove down that street, and I was like, dang, these guys are rich. All the way through there, I'm like, that would be such a great street to live on. And then 10 years later, I have, I have a house there, and it was an amazing thing. And, I looked at it when I walked in there. I was like, can my boys play full court hoops? And can my boys play, backyard football? And that's what I looked at, 20 years ago. Me being a little bit naive with, being probably in the low point of Bridlehurst, right? I just want to live in Kirtland. I teach here, and this has been, bleed blue and gold. But I get it. I made the mistake of buying the property, right? I get where it is. But that plan that was made 40 years ago is not working. And to be real with you, like, and there's nothing being done about it. I've been here 20 years ago, right? And that water goes completely over the street. Sometimes I've seen that water, and you talk about the Texas residents, and I just pray for them. I thought about that. I was like, oh my goodness. I've seen my water go up to about, probably about 10, 12 feet high, right? You're talking, this last one was about 4 or 5, 6 feet, right? In between. I kind of missed it during the middle of the night. That's the problem, because I don't know when it's going to hit. So this water, it just gets so high, my property has basically become a dam. And the plan that was made 40 years ago obviously does not work. I have exhausted everything that I know. That's why I'm here. I'm asking for help. And I don't know what else to do. I've probably put in $25,000, $30,000 just on my own, trying to really fix it. Okay, I learned this from this time, and I went to plan B. And then I went to plan C, right? And I went to plan D. Well, and I've asked for help, and nothing has been done. And so I guess I got to push harder. And so, Joe, I know I've talked to Joe, I've talked to Kevin, I've talked to many of you up here, right? What plan do we have moving forward? And is this something, I'll be real with you, is this something that's actually going to happen, or is it not?
I would say real quick, and Mr. Fennaro can speak to anything that's, being worked on right now by himself and Mr. Courtney. Obviously, we've known you guys a long time, and you're not going to come to a council meeting and you're certainly not ranting and raving, but bring an issue forward for, something happening at your property if, you're not being adversely affected. And you waited a long time to come to this point. So, the problem is the expense, and so what are we moving around? What dollars are we moving around on the stormwater side? We only get so many, and the roads we have to fix, yours being one of them. We were hopeful, and I think we told Amy this, or your wife this, when we were out there. We were certainly hopeful that had we been able to pass our last year's referendum for road funding, as part of, and you heard Mr. Fennaro talk before about drainage alongside of Rockwood before you pave a road, and it's the best time to do it, right? Do that drainage project as part of that. So, that was certainly, Bridlehurst is way up there in terms of priority, when we have the funding. So, but we know that's not the case today. What can we do now? I think Doug and Joe have talked about, potentially some other things to mitigate. But it's us prioritizing where we have a Wisner Wall project that's kind of a big deal. It's a river, it's a wall. It goes along a road, constantly have issues down in, you pick an area, Parkwood, Eisenhower. I know it's not what you want to hear, but I'm just being honest with you. It's where do we find the money? Because that's, the best fix is expensive. What that means is probably a couple $100,000 or more, right? So I know it's one house, but it's also affects an area in a neighborhood. So we take that into consideration too.
So if I were to go out and get a private estimate, does the city allow it?
I don't think you can work or a contractor can work in the right of way without, the city managing that project. Would be my.
Is that in all cases?
I mean, can you get it done in like the middle of the night?
No, I'm saying I know people, like I had an architect come over, John Urbanic came over, and the price that he's saying is way lower than what you're saying. And he's been in contact with Doug.
Okay, well that's good.
And so, like, I don't know where this $300,000 or $200,000 item that you're talking about, or whatever this estimate is, not what I'm being told from other people. Camino Construction, right? These are good guys. They know what they're doing.
That's really good news. And I hadn't heard that yet, but truthfully, I had some things going on the last couple of weeks that I was a little bit out of the loop. So I will get with Doug and Joe and see what that most recent, at least, conversation was with Mr. Urbanek and Doug Courtney.
Can you,
Know where you're
can you,
I mean, well, actually, John is in Colorado right now, so he's going to get back to me by next week. So, yeah, drill right underneath. 6. Okay, and that's all right, and that's fair. Yeah, and I listen, I'm not coming in here getting, right? I'm asking for, and I think I deserve it. I put in my time, right? 25 years. So, and also too, like, you know, I read in the Chronicle that, you know, you have new issues. And I'm just like, this has been 40 years and nothing has been done. It is a problem.
Chronicle doesn't always get everything right, and they're probably watching me. But that's not, Eisenhower's not a new issue.
So my point, I guess my point is, this issue has been constant. It's been constant, and nothing's really been done about it. I get it. It doesn't matter if it's Phil Keister. It doesn't matter if it's Doug Davis. It doesn't matter. Nothing's been. And so, just asking for help with it. Like, and I don't want to be 60 years old, and have to deal with this in the middle of it. You don't even. You have other issues. Leaves. You have the pipes outside freezing, so I got to take them in, and I got to put them in hot water, and I got to make sure that they're thawed out. And I have extra pumps laying all around so that I got to be home. I got to know what's happening, right? So this has been. I'm just done with it, right? This is the 4th time it's happened, and this last one was bad, and so we lost our house insurance. So, you know, this is nothing I'm going to continue as I'm older. I want to be here, but. I guess here, you also have, you also can be pioneers of saying, you know what, I fixed a problem that was 40 years, it's been a problem for 40 years, I fixed it. You have the ability to do it. You really, truly do. If I really believe it, you really, truly have the ability to do it. I appreciate all you guys coming out. I do. But I look at it as a kid, like if a kid came to me in my class and he can't read, and I said, oh, I'm just going to accept that? No, it's my job to teach him to read. So this is your job to get this done. It truly is. And I believe that you can, with a little bit of extra push. Because instead of deaf ears. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
Mr.
Mr.
Ridgway,
Ridgway.
thank you for the comments.
Mayor, with respect to his requests and all the requests that we get, you know, a while ago, I mentioned a culvert program, and I know, Mr. Fenaro, you keep a list. Can that get at least on that list and start, you know, a little bit of, you know, back of the envelope engineering? You know, I remember many years back, there was a massive issue in Ledgewood, right? And our former engineer came up with a really, I don't know if it was an elaborate design, but it was expensive. And the same thing happened. It kept moving. We brought Mr. Courtney in. We asked him, hey, can you look at this again? And a different solution was cast, much cheaper, and then the work got programmed and it got done. So I hear you, Mr. Ridgway, Mr. Ingram. You know, I don't know if it's as simple as, you know, it's not easy to bend water and then you could have erosion, things of that nature. I was out there with Matt on site June 25th, and Council Fenstermaker and I had a discussion that day on it as well. And I was out there many, many moons ago. First off, one of the things that I had asked the Ridgways is if they knew if that ditch was in an easement, or is that just platted subdivision and there's no drainage easement there?
the ditch along their residence is not an easement. the one further down by Mr. Ingram is an easement.
Is in an easement. Do we know if there's been any change to any upstream drainage area?
Not that I'm aware.
If you're aware of- Okay, I didn't know how much of that.
Don't hold me to it, but I think Doug said 85, 70-ish acres that comes through the back and into, close. Well,
Yeah, wait, sorry, you have
We're not
to,
getting you
you
on
still have to put your name in. Sorry.
Resident, 8510 Bridalhurst, but have you looked into writing grants? There's tons of stuff, when you start looking online to look at some of the water issues that are happening across the state of Ohio. And I mean, how deep are we digging into this? Are you just going to pat us on the backs, or are we really going to, try to get some funding somewhere else if we don't have the money? Okay. Would you allow other people to help you look at grants?
If you find us a grant that we haven't seen or applied for and we could have or should have, or it's coming up, please let us know.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have full-time grant people, so we could miss something, but Joe and Doug do a pretty good job of, and Eddie Eckert. Right, yep.
This has been 40 years in progress. So, listen.
Hi, Mike Ingram. I'm 8500 Bridalhurst Trail. Live right next door to the Ridgeways. Yeah, this has been an ongoing issue with the water. And I reiterate everything that Matt has said about the water. I think it's a simple issue. There would be some concerns about some of the utility lines that go under the road. I haven't seen any prints. I don't know where they go. I don't know if you go over them, under them, whatever. But we could take a look at that. I know we discussed some things, but I would like to put a driveway in. I know the Ridgeways need a driveway, and I know my neighbor across the street needs a driveway. We can't do anything, really, unless the drainage is fixed. So I'm my hands are tied. My neighbor's hands are tied to put a driveway in. And we want to do it the right way. So we're looking for your help. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the time this evening. Appreciate the comments. And I know there's going to be more discussions centered around that. So thank you. Okay, moving on to old business. public comments on matters of old business. Okay, moving on to new business. Public comments on agenda items of new business. Okay, moving on to 25-0-44, first reading, an ordinance prohibiting short-term rental properties in the city of Kirtland by amending codified ordinances, section 1261.09, 1268.03, 1270.03, 1275.03, and 1275.04 within the zoning code and declaring an emergency. Any discussion?
That relative to, okay, in the work session, we got cut short because of time. In mid-September, if we don't take action, we lose home rule. So we're trying to protect our backyard and have the ability to regulate it. We're not going to look to pass 044 because we're going to send 45 back to planning and zoning. And then once we hear from them on their recommendations, those would those be incorporated into 44 or?
Sure.
Because of what's.
So, yeah, well, let's take a step back. So our charter requires, anytime you're modifying the zoning code, it requires planning and zoning to issue a recommendation on the changes. Okay? So what we have right now are the proposed changes in 25044. So that is the proposal. And what is happening is in 25R45, that is a procedural step. That's all it is. It's sending the matter to planning and zoning, asking them to consider those proposed changes as outlined in 25044, and then to issue a recommendation. But it's purely like, so 25R45 is just the procedural step, just to get it to them so that they can receive it. So what our meeting is the 14th. Planning and zoning is meeting next week on the 21st. So if the resolution 25R45 passes today, then it'll get referred down to planning and zoning. They will receive the request from council to hold a public hearing and issue a recommendation. They will then schedule a public hearing for August 11th. After that hearing, planning and zoning can issue its recommendation to council. Council will have our next meeting August 18th, a week later. At that time, we will then be in compliance with our charter, which requires the P&Z to issue a recommendation on zoning changes. So that's why we have both of those two pieces of legislation right there. And then at that point, council can consider if you want to waive the third reading and get that law into effect so that we are, grandfathered in. And I want to stress, there's this law pending. It's not been passed or signed, right? So I don't want everyone to think that that law is passed, or that takes away home rule, takes away the city's ability to regulate short-term rentals. But it's on the table, and there's been numerous hearings on it. There's been a great deal of testimony in favor and against it. And I think in an abundance of caution, it's best for the city to proceed in this fashion so that you can retain your right to regulate this. And again, that's if everything passes as it's currently proposed. They might still strip that grandfather ability, and we might be doing this all for naught. I don't know, but I think it wouldn't hurt to at least get it passed and get it moving forward so that it puts us in the best position possible.
So, and currently, 44 is to say no.
Correct.
Let me ask you this, Council President Fenstermaker and I were having a conversation. If we said yes, we can regulate it and then move with 45. That's not the same as saying no to preempting
Correct.
the State House?
So
I want to understand why that.
Because from what I'm interpreting, okay, if you make it, let's assume for a moment we say short-term rentals are permitted, okay, and you say, yes, it's allowed. as opposed to what this is saying, like the ordinance. My interpretation of what the pending law in the state says, we would not be able to claw back some of those roads.
At a later date.
Okay, at a later date.
Post what it's,
Just because we are regulating it and allowing it, my interpretation of the proposed law is that we wouldn't be able to scale that back, okay, or claw it back, right? If there were issues, we wouldn't be able to do anything about it. So what we're doing is we're completely prohibiting it, and then we could always say, all right, we're still prohibiting it most places, but we're going to allow it in this limited fashion. So we have that regulation, we're just scaling it back.
And then that's still council's decision at that point. The recommendation will come out of planning and zoning, and we have the yes or no.
That's exactly right. Yep.
so once we pass it and then the state decides what they're, leaning towards what you think, then the city goes back and goes, okay, this is how we're you got to go through P&Z, you got to get a conditional use permit.
Correct.
Or however we decide the various.
Quite frankly, even if the state doesn't pass that law, you still might want to talk about it and get the ball rolling on it, right? Regardless of what the state does. And at least try to come up with, however, this council would envision short-term rentals to be in the city, whether you want it outright prohibited or you want to place limitations on it in certain scenarios. That's up to you. So even if this is moving forward and we don't yet know what the state is doing, I think it'd be prudent from the city's perspective, hey, let's, how do you guys envision it, short-term rentals in the city long-term? And start that process. And I don't think you need to wait for the state statute to pass.
Understood.
Yeah, I guess, I know Lewis might not have any numbers, but what kind of revenue, I don't know what kind of revenue comes into the city from this, if any, right?
No, there wouldn't be. We just have the, for hotel lodging.
So, and actually, my interpretation of our current ordinances, the way they are, those people that have short-term rentals are supposed to be paying that tax, and they haven't done it. They haven't registered, they haven't done it. So right now, they're not in compliance with our ordinances.
Okay, any further discussion? All right. Moving on to 25-R-45, first reading, resolution referring 25-0-44, council's ordinance to prohibit short-term rental properties to the Planning and Zoning Commission for recommendation on the matter and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Lallo, you want us to waive the three readings? Okay, motion to waive the three readings.
Okay, Mr. Smolik with a motion to waive the three readings, Ms. Grazia with a second. Any discussion? Janelle, please call the roll.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Ms. Simons.
Yes.
Looking for a motion to declare an emergency and adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Smolik with a motion to declare an emergency and adopt. Simons with a second. Any further discussion? Okay, Janelle, please call the roll.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Ms. Simons.
Yes.
And to clarify, Mr. Lallo, now this will go to the P&Z meeting next Monday.
Correct.
Be discussed. They'll look it over, make any recommendations or changes.
And they will have a public hearing. The intention
also
is
be
they
a
will have a
public hearing?
public hearing on August 11th.
Okay, so this is going to be, okay, so they're going to hear it, then it's public hearing. Will be on their next meeting then?
Correct.
Okay, and then it'll come back to us
Correct.
the second
For the second
meeting?
reading on August 18th.
Okay.
In fact, I was going to ask, I should have asked it in 25-44, if this council is amenable to scheduling a public hearing on the proposed changes at its August 18th meeting.
That will be the second meeting that it comes, or second reading that comes
Correct.
back was.
It's, just so you know, it is not mandatory for council
But
to
it's
hold a
always
public
good to
hearing.
have.
Correct. It's for the sake of fairness and transparency, but that's also what we've done in the past as it relates to zoning changes or proposed zoning changes.
I think we should.
Okay.
I
I
absolutely think
concur.
we
The
should.
rest of the council concur with the public hearing on the second reading?
Yeah, I guess in terms of timing, right, we're going to get this material and have a couple days to look it over. A public meeting, that doesn't give the public much time to react to it, honestly.
So my guess is that there's not going to be any changes from what has been proposed right now and from what has been submitted to council as part of the public record with the proposed changes. So if the public really wants to take a good look at everything, they have it now.
No, I thought, speaking of what's going to come out of planning and zoning,
Yeah, and
that information we won't see until the Thursday before the council meeting. That day, there'll be a public hearing. It doesn't have much time in the public realm to stir up any interest.
You would have a third reading, though, correct, on it? That the
it
public also-
could go to a third reading, I believe. It depends on what the state does if they do anything. Okay.
You're talking middle of September with the state, and we possibly have one meeting.
So I
before
think we'll have a meeting like the first or second week of September. I'm gonna try to pull it up.
We got Labor Day that.
Exactly.
To Wednesday.
Wednesday.
So it'll be that Wednesday, the 3rd. Okay. So we should be okay having it go to a third reading. Okay.
Is it unprecedented to have a public hearing on a second reading or?
No, again, no, I think we've done that in the past, actually. It's just trying to kind of maintain what we've done in the past as it relates to proposed zoning changes. It's just planning and zoning has to have the public hearing. We don't have to as council.
So say we're doing the courtesy of a public hearing, which we don't have to do. Nothing we ever pass is permanent and forever. But if we don't step in front of what the state would pass, that could be permanent and forever. And we may not get the opportunity to then govern for ourselves how we want something to work in Kirtland. So even if people feel like the 3 days in between wasn't a ton of time and I have objections and whatever, it doesn't mean it couldn't come before planning and zoning and change again. But if we do nothing and we miss the window and the state decides something before we decide something, we lose our opportunity to decide for Kirtland what's right for Kirtland.
Yeah,
So
and good point. And what we can also do is that hearing from planning and zoning is that Monday night. I'm sure I'll get an email. There will be a P&Z resolution, and we'll get an email Tuesday morning, and we could send it off to council as quickly as possible that following
Have they
Tuesday.
been working on this at all? I know it's been mentioned, when we have our joint meeting in January, it came up, and
yes.
it's mentioned here and there, because they have their work cut out. If it's less than a month away, that's a lot of
So really,
bucks
just
to get there.
Just to be clear, the proposed ordinance 25044, it has it already written in. I don't recall if the red line changes made their way to you or if it's just the final. So what happened, if you look at our ordinances, the first section, I think it's 126109, has the definitions. It takes out tourist home and it adds short-term rentals. That definition is pulled verbatim from the proposed statute. Then you have, 126803, I believe it is, which is uses for single-family dwellings, I believe it is. And there's the table of R3, you have permitted uses, conditional uses. And then what I did, because I did this, I just continued on from that table, and I said prohibited uses, and just put in short-term rentals. So that was in the R3, that was in the R2, and R1. And then you have I think it was 1270, which is multifamily dwellings, same exact thing. And then the other residential portion of our zoning code is historic town center, 127503. 127503 didn't have the same table, but it listed the permitted uses. So what I did was I said permitted uses are, that's section A, and then permitted, B are prohibited uses. Short-term rentals are prohibited. And then 127504 are conditional uses. And that one, it had tourist homes, because like hotels, were lumped in there. So we just took out tourist homes from that provision. So that is all of the changes, so that it specifically and expressly prohibits short-term rentals in the city. And then I think the bigger work is going to be scaling that back, at a later date if planning and zoning and if this council wishes to do that. But I think, with those changes, it's pretty cut and dry what the proposals are for the changes in the zoning codes.
I thought that there would be more coming out of.
I mean,
they're going to look at it, but they're pretty certain that that's what. Yeah. Okay.
That's my estimation. Yeah.
Okay, moving on to 25-0-46, first reading. Ordinance amending sections 880.01 and 880.03 of the codified ordinances of the city of Kirtland to remove tourist home from the city's transient guest tax regulations and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Council President, as it relates to that provision, again, that's where the taxes are, where if you do have a current short-term rental, you're supposed to be paying the taxes for the tourist home. But just to keep everything in line with the prohibition, we didn't want there to be a section in here that says, well, you have to pay taxes if you have this. Well, then does that mean we're allowed to have tourist homes or short-term rentals? So the thought was just to outright remove it, and then if they are permitted at a later date, we can then add it back in. This is, because it's not part of the zoning code, it doesn't get referred down to P&Z. That's why it didn't get lumped in with 25-044.
Okay. Thank you.
So, fast forward, a bad actor, they don't care what our ordinances mean, right? They don't list on Vrbo or Airbnb, and they still just go ahead and act and earn money. There's no tax that they would need to pay. And I'm sure about paying taxes probably in the first place. There's a fine involved for being a bad actor, but what would ultimately be the methodology in which to kind of.
So it would be the criminal action in courts at the municipal court, because if I'm not mistaken, it's a maximum fine of $150 per day for the violation. So if there's a way that we can find that this person is a continuous bad actor, we can file the case in court and show all the evidence and ask the judge for a fine commensurate with maybe what they're earning on the property and the fact that they're not paying that to the city, or they're not, they're just thumbing their nose to the city, and essentially make it not worth their while to continue skirting the law.
So the fine would be the tax that would be.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Matt, you good?
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to 25-R-47, first reading. Resolution accepting a bid of Arms Trucking Company for the delivery of limestone, road materials, and declaring an emergency.
Like to make a motion to waive the 3 readings.
Second.
Mr. Smolik with a motion to waive the 3 readings. Mr. Schultz with the second. Any discussion? Janelle, please call the roll.
Mr. Smolik.
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker.
Yes.
Mr. Hamer.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
Ms. Grazia.
Yes.
Ms. Simons.
Yes,
Okay, looking for a motion to declare an emergency and adopt.
so moved.
Second.
Ms. Simons with a motion to declare emergency and adopt. Mr. Smolik with a second. Any further discussion? Janelle, please call the roll.
Mr. Smolik.
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker.
Yes.
Mr. Hamer.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
Ms. Grazia.
Yes.
Ms. Simons.
Yes,
Okay, moving on to 25-R-48, first reading. Resolution accepting the bid of Allied for asphalt road materials and declaring an emergency.
Motion to waive the 3 readings.
Second.
Mr. Schultz with a motion to waive the 3 readings. Mr. Smolik with a second. Any discussion? Janelle, please call the roll.
Mr. Smolik.
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker.
Yes.
Mr. Hamer.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
Ms. Grazia.
Yes.
Ms. Simons.
yes,
Okay, looking for a motion to declare an emergency and adopt. Mr. Schultz with a motion to declare emergency and adopt. Ms. Gracia with a second. Any discussion? Janelle, please call the roll.
Mr. Smolik.
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker.
Yes.
Mr. Hamer.
Yes.
Mr. Scholes.
Yes.
Ms. Grazia. Ms. Simons.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to 25-R-49, first reading. Resolution accepting the bid of Carmus for the pickup of limestone road materials and declaring an emergency. Looking for a motion to waive the 3 readings.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Smolik with a motion to waive the 3 readings. Ms. Simons with a second. Any discussion? Janelle, please call the roll.
Mr. Smolik.
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker.
Yes.
Mr. Hamer.
Yes.
Mr. Scholes.
Yes.
Ms. Grazia. Ms. Simons.
Yes.
Okay, looking for a motion to declare an emergency and adopt.
Second.
Ms. Grazia with a motion to declare emergency and adopt. Ms. Simons with a second. Any discussion? Janelle, please call the roll.
Mr. Smolik.
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker.
Yes.
Mr. Hamer.
Yes.
Mr. Scholes.
Yes.
Ms. Grazia.
Yes.
Ms. Simons.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to council comments.
Council President Fenstermaker, I was absent the last meeting. Was it a representative from Aqua in, or
No.
Mayor, has that been scheduled for them to come out to answer some questions?
I did have a conversation with the gentleman from Aqua. Let's talk about that afterward, if you don't mind. Thanks.
Okay, any other council comments this evening? Mr. Ridgway, I do want to thank you for coming tonight and letting us know truly how you feel about it. I understand your frustration. I hope we can come up with an answer that works. I really do. All right, so continuing concerns, last opportunity for the public to speak. Okay, I'm moving for an adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.